All right, here we go. This is podcast something 9 or 8 or 9 or something. Super psyched. This is Wild Outside podcast. Big thanks to OddStory Brewing Company, which is where we are. Obviously, we're partnering up with L2 Outside and Wild Trails, which are the two. And big thanks to Matt Sims, who's been so gracious to be a part of this whole thing, because he's like the MC in town. He doesn't know it, but that's his future job, whether he likes it or not.
I think it could be.
I like it, no doubt. But
watch out, Jeff Styles.
Jeff Styles has definitely got his replacement in the ranks. So before we get started with our awesome guests this week, I've got a couple things to announce for Wild Trails. This week, Saturday, is our first biggest trail race of the year, Scenic City Marathon, half marathon, and fairly newly added 5K. Year before last, I think we added that, and it's really growing quick. So that's this Saturday. You can register now. We have registration. Actually, if you want to race day registration happens actually Friday and Saturday. Friday, you can pick up a packet and register at Fleet Feet, starting from, it's 4 to 6, and then also Saturday morning, starting at 6:30, I think, you can register. So all of those races are available. The next week's Saturday, I think that makes it the 19th, is our first adventure with the Audubon Society, Audubon Acres. If you haven't been to Audubon Acres, you've got to go. It's one of the coolest places. It's in the middle of the city, and you'd never know it. It's really awesome. And we're going to do their very first trail race, and it's a partnership between Audubon Acres, Wild Trails, and there's I think it's a fairly new organization that fixes broken birds and mammals. And so they are involved as well. So that is the next weekend, and you can register now and race day registration as well that day. So some cool things coming up. And then on L2 Outside, their grand opening, they're open now, soft opening, but the grand opening is the 19th.
It's the 18th. So just really quick.
Jump on in here.
It's on the 18th. It is all day long, free paddleboarding. So anybody can come out and try it, see the new location.
Did you say free paddleboarding?
Exactly.
All day?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Our session, if you want to come out, try a board, go out to McClellan Island, come back. We are at 60 North Market, so right in the Nautilus building in Coolidge Park. So come check it out and see it. Oh, we'll have OddStory beer there as well.
Free beer. Is it free beer? Free beer and free paddling. Free beer, free paddling. And not necessarily in that order. So
the term free beer, it's like,
yeah.
It's just a great phrase.
There is such a thing.
Yeah.
Free beer. There's no free lunch.
But free beer and then free paddling. I mean, that's a whole different dynamic that you gotta appreciate. So
nobody rides for free.
Yeah, you do.
Heard that one.
So Matt, you introduce our awesome guests.
Well, thank you, Randall, Jay. So we have, I love these guys. We've had the great pleasure today to have George Skonburg with us. George is really, I should say was, the race director for Chickamauga Chase
forever.
24 years.
24 years.
Since the earth cooled. 24 years.
Wow.
So we're going to talk to George a little bit about Chickamauga Chase, and we also have Rick Loggins, local hard man, done it all, been there, done it, got the T-shirt. You love me doing this.
You get the wrong guy.
I've known Rick for a long, long time, and the reason Rick is here, there's a multitude, but I want to talk about triathlon. I want to talk about Track Club, which both you guys have been participants of for many years, and then Team Turbana, a local group that most people, maybe even listening or watching this, have never heard anything about. And so, very, very cool early triathlon club which is part of our great outdoors in Chattanooga. So
one of the first things that I heard about when we moved here.
Yeah.
I think from you.
Team Turbana. Good stuff.
Yeah,
we'll have to get Dick Dillard down here someday too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
You need to get Dillard on the show.
Yeah. I agree.
Part 1 through about part 6. He could go on.
He's next. He needs to get on our list.
Yeah.
So George, tell us a little bit about the Chase, your involvement. Did someone do it prior to you, or is it your brainchild?
No. Somebody did it prior to me. The first race was in 1969, so it's pre-me. We actually have a gentleman that's completed all 50. So Saturday, 2 weeks ago, was the 50th running of the Chickamauga Chase. Began in 1969, and it was originally a 10-mile run, just if you'll think back to 1969, a bunch of bubbas. Just go around the park and see who finishes first. And
roughly, any idea how many that first year?
I think that first race they had a couple of dozen.
Yeah.
I've actually got the clipping.
Yeah.
Jack McFarland is the gentleman who's run all of them. And then several years later, they wanted to move it away from the visitor center, so it became a 15K signature race, which is a little bit of an odd distance, sort of an orphan. Yeah. It's one of the oldest 15Ks in the country, but there's also a 5K, a walk, a kitty K, and if I have to say what's the biggest win doing the Chase, it was partnering with you guys and bringing the trail run into the race. And I mean that not because you guys are sitting here, but the trails in Chickamauga are fantastic when the horses aren't on, but they're great trails. And
most of what we run are there's no horses allowed.
They're unloved. They're unloved, and well, they were unloved. But getting the running community familiar with those was a big win, and it was more than that. I think the bridge that was built between the Track Club and Wild Trails is one that will endure, to say the least. So that was big. Going all the way back, I started in '93 or '94, I forget which. I had a knee injury skiing, and sort of said I'll jump in here in the interim while I'm healing. And you know, in the military they say don't be first, last, or volunteer. I committed 2 of those 3, and I never had the guts to stop. My alter ego here, Rick, advised me to just quit about annually, didn't you?
Yeah.
About annually.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. And he said, I'll be there on April, whatever it was, and was there I don't think you missed one in that entire time. And I couldn't have done it without guys like Rick Loggins. I guess that initial crew was Rick, Chip Lusk, if you remember Chip, Ben Pitts, who still lives in Chattanooga, Susan Meatling. The crew morphed into including a few others that were always dependable, like Doug Roselle, and the Madsen twins, Mike and John, were just tremendous allies throughout that whole period of time. But it was a race. I guess we thought a good number was about 200 total, and we got up to about 1,700 at one point across the different events. It's probably a little bigger. I think the right number is about 1,000. Not that numbers don't drive it. I think it's sort of a critical mass for us.
Yeah.
Parking is always an issue.
Oh yeah, parking's. But very early on, not having any real management experience other than military, which isn't managing, it's discipline. I adopted the mantra about the chases that I have a bigger chance of screwing it up than I do enhancing the race. You've got the battlefield. And if you're going to just go down on a Saturday and run, it's not going to get a lot better than that, whether you're a road runner or a trail runner. Now, if you overlay a race, you got 1,000 ways to screw it up. And so I sort of let that guide the decisions that I made, the good and the bad. Just don't screw it up. It's just a wonderful place to run. And the last thing I would say to anybody listening, if you love the sport of running or adult fitness, anything, you get more out of an event than you put into it. And the friends that I've made and the relationships that have forged, I've got far more out of the chase than I put into it, and I put a lot into it.
Yeah.
But I got a lot out of it, and continue to, just without hogging the mic, but I am, So Saturday 2 weeks ago, I went down there. I skipped the first year that I wasn't the race director, I guess, sort of like, I don't know what my baby's going to look like. I went down there 2 weeks ago, and it was a day like today. It was just incredibly beautiful. The track club has done a tremendous job of keeping the legacy going. Tremendous job. And I ran the 5K as a participant. I don't know that finishing my first marathon, finishing my first Ironman, I'm not sure that either one of those surpassed running that race as a participant 2 weeks ago. It was just,
that's awesome.
It was just one of those days.
That says a lot, yeah.
Look at all these folks
Yeah.
just having fun.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in the back with, you know, people like me running slowly. And I finished the race. I came back out and slogged in with Jack McFarland and his daughter,
Yeah.
the 50-year man. And he didn't know it, but his entire family had flown in
Oh, wow.
for the 50th
wow.
race. So it's just one of those days that, like I say, when you do something like that, if you're committed to it, you'll reap far more than you sow.
How old is Jack McFarland?
Jack McFarland is in his 83, 84, something like that.
Okay.
I'm pretty close. And we walked in, and I looked at him one point and I said, Jack, is there somebody here today that will run the 100th? And we start thinking, probably is. There's probably a 20-something-year-old that won't know when to quit like the rest of us and be here for the 100th running. And I think the track club's in good position. You know, whether or not they ever get a sucker like me to keep the thing for a couple of decades, I think the track club's committed to it. They did it a little bit by committee this year, and it worked out well. Really well. Really well.
So years ago, that's awesome. I mean, I remember, so years ago, we've known each other a long time, since Ironman Coeur d'Alene.
Yes, sir.
And maybe even a little bit prior to that.
We did.
But you were on the track club. You may have been, were you president? Or?
It was a couple years in the 90s.
And so it was in the 90s. I was working at Rock Creek. You asked me to be on the track club board because of trail running, and then, you know, which was kind of a new thing. And then the trail component combined with Chattanooga Track Club, which was cool. And I think that probably somewhere, you know, post that time is when Wild Trails kind of got involved and started doing that. So it's fun to see the evolution of these things. And I also think we've all been race directors or co-race directors on some level. It is a labor of love, you know, but it's the thing that separates. I think you said it better than I can say it, but it's the thing that really keeps giving. Mm-hmm. It is fun to do it. It's fun to let it go at some point and let someone else do it. I don't know of anybody that's been a race director for over 2 decades, but I mean, I was good for a few years with stump jump, and I was like, oh Lord, you know, I'm good here. Thank you. But it is a cool thing, and it's your baby. It'll always be your baby. You know, it's your teenager, and it's now your young adult, and so it's fun for you as a participant to go back and see it. So I think that's incredible.
There's a sad component. There's a UTC now has you can get a degree in outdoor management, outdoor event management, and I get approached all the time from people that, you know, kids that want to, hey, I want your job, basically. And it's hard for me to tell them that you don't do it for money, because you're not going to make any money, and you're not the right kind of person for it because you haven't done anything yet. You have to have, I'm not saying you have to be involved in the sport to have a passion for the sport, but I think that's probably a little bit of a prerequisite. You have to be involved in, for me, trail running in a pretty big degree to really be passionate about it. And there's no way you can be a really good race director unless you're passionate about spreading that to anybody else.
I mean, that's why you do it, is to get people.
You don't do it. There's no way you do it for a job.
I don't know anything about making a living doing it, but I know as a volunteer, never volunteer for something you're not passionate about.
Exactly.
It's
passion's
work.
the most important thing.
It's work. Yeah. And if you say I'll do something and it's not something you've got to vested interest, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How long have you guys known each other?
Early 90s,
Okay. And what
maybe
was,
even 90, I would say.
Was it from running or from triathlon or what?
Either beer or
Beer?
Well,
Beer or running, both hand in hand.
back in those days, if you were a runner and you were at the YMCA, you'd get dressed out and you'd go stand on the steps of the Y, and you'd wait for a group to converge, and then they'd all go for a run, and that's how I remember.
So it wasn't like a scheduled thing. You just waited.
After work, there was an after work crowd. There was an early morning crowd. There was a lunchtime crowd. Saturday morning crowd.
Wait and see what happens.
You met people and made friends, dated some of them.
It became social,
Yeah,
and the
it became
Saturday
social.
run
Absolutely.
was a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah.
You'd go to breakfast afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you on the track club's board still?
No,
But you have been.
I have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still a member.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of triathlon, I want to kind of steer
Okay.
into Team Turbana. So,
Right.
Gosh.
I'm a young triathlete compared to you guys. Wouldn't you say that's true? I mean, I remember you had been doing it well before, I got into it sometime in the 90s, and both of you guys were
right.
way into it at that point. And I remember a T-shirt, a group, a club, a very exclusive club called Team Turbana. Tell us a little bit about.
They had T-shirts, right?
They had T-shirts. They had a
Events, socials.
So editors know.
Stories,
There will be a
odd
follow-on
stories.
to this. You have to bring them in.
Okay.
Do not mention the name John Curry.
Right. I'm not going to mention him.
He's not allowed on the.
That's a whole conversation.
Yeah, first of all, I take no credit for Team Turbana because I think they got started in the mid-'80s. And it was a bunch of 20-year-olds then. By the time I got involved, I was in my mid-30s.
Okay.
But you would see these guys around town doing things that were just crazy, that you'd never dream about doing unless you were in a group with a lot of peer pressure.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So one day I just decided that I wanted to be one of those guys, and I thought I was going to die doing one of their events, Big Daddy. And so that's how I got
That's
involved.
John Curry's deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he started.
And so right after the Big Daddy event was the Big Daddy party at John's house. So
Okay.
he just kind of brought it all together. And it was a bunch of guys guys and girls, who were fast, who trained hard but never admitted to training hard, because you couldn't do that, and wanted to win, wanted to be fast, and was willing to do a lot of crazy stuff to get there.
Yeah. So Big Daddy, when I hear the term Big Daddy, a lot of us think of the trail run up on Lookout.
Right.
The event you're talking about is different, right? Can you explain? And all these events were Renegade events, right?
Renegade.
They were all.
But they weren't Renegade Track Club.
No.
Right. Totally different deal,
Totally
right?
different.
Okay. Let's talk about
Another
that for a second.
t-shirt.
But
Yeah. So John would. Big Daddy was always the last weekend in March. And the purpose of Big Daddy was to get you ready for the Gulf Coast Triathlon, which was in early May, Mother's Day weekend.
Okay.
So it was supposed to be a big day. You were supposed to go out and do a long bike ride and a long trail run, and end up being a trail run and not just a road run. And then, of course, to finish the event off, you had to drink a 16-ounce Meister Brew, or Meister Brau, I guess it's called.
Right.
Or forgot about that. But it was a bike ride that went up Roberts Mill Road.
Thank you. Cheers.
And across Signal Mountain and back down into the valley and up Scenic Highway. And then from there, you would jump on the Big Daddy Trail at Sunset Rock, and you would run the 12 to 13 mile.
So the beer in between.
No, the beer was at the end.
Oh,
it could be in
I
between.
missed it. I thought it was in between. So,
There was a spam time concession
Yes,
at the top of Roberts
at
Mill.
the top of Roberts Mill Road. You could stop. It wasn't mandatory. You could stop and have a slice of spam, and depending upon how many slices you had, it would deduct minutes off your time. So there would be some guys who would stand up there and just eat spam until they puked, because that was the only way they would have time deducted off.
Right. And there was a rule: it was no tunnels. You couldn't go through.
Oh yeah.
Right? No
well,
tunnel.
I guess the main rules was that there were no rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you would be shamed if you cut the course. You could not go through the tunnel. You had to go over Stringer's Ridge. Yeah.
Gosh, that brings
A lot of peer
back
pressure.
so
That's
many
what
stories.
Team Turbana was, peer pressure.
How many T-shirts are still around? You think?
I've got one.
Oh, I've got 3 or
I've got a
4.
Renegade. I'm going to give them to you for your next show.
Okay.
I want them back.
Okay. Absolutely.
They're classic.
I remember seeing Dick Diller down in Gulf Coast Triathlon, Team Turbana, and he had a big dinosaur.
Yeah.
Was that the mascot?
Yes,
or
Godzilla.
The Godzilla.
Right.
And what was the deal with the banana? Just rhymed with Turbana?
Well, John Courier and Bruce Novkov and those guys who started Team Turbana, they were somewhere doing a race. There were guys that all trained together. And the bananas that they had post-race were Turbana bananas.
Okay.
And so they all took the sticker off the banana and put it on their head, and that's how the group got started.
It's a great logo.
It is.
It's a world-class logo. It's really good.
What do we need to do to bring Team Turbana back?
So
Maybe you could do a
Besides
remote.
inviting
well, here,
Courier,
let me first. I mean, I don't know if it's really publicized yet, but it's about to be. But Wild Trails is going to do this adventure series. There's a lot of guys that I'm sure you guys can appreciate with this that get into events that don't really care about being competitive. They don't have. They want to go out there and have aid stations, and they just want to be with like-minded people, and they just want the adventure. They don't care about the stuff. They don't care about the shirt. They don't care about awards, and they just enter these events to be around like-minded people. So we're starting this adventure series for that. No, for me to get a permit, I have to. Any one of the 3 things have to happen: entry fee, sponsorship, and prizes. So if I eliminate all 3 of those, I don't have to get a permit in most parks. So we've got like 7 or 8 events kind of planned for the year. And this seems perfect for Team Turbana. So we could bring Team Turbana back to be the Team Turbana.
It has to happen organically. It just happens.
Yeah.
It just happens organically with some renegade type.
That's what I mean.
You remember when we did Big Bird, Sick Bird?
Oh, the Sick Bird. That's awesome.
Sick Bird.
Yeah.
So talk to us about then the renegade part of the track club. Well,
The Renegade
I don't
was
think
was just running. It didn't involve cycling, and I guess ringleaders in that crowd would have started with Pat Hagan and Chris Frank and Ray McIntyre.
Yeah.
And those fellows, Pat and Chris, lived up on Signal at the time, and so the race, I guess the homecoming race of the Renegade Track Club was the Bowels of Hell. My geography of Signal Mountain is not really very good, but you ended up at about mile 15, all the way down where the high school is today.
Right.
And run back up and finish at Pat and Chris's house. They lived across the street from each other on Signal. And the finishing touch there was you had to drink a beer and dunk a basketball on an 8-foot goal after running 20 miles.
and you ran up Roberts Mill Road.
No, we didn't do Roberts Mill.
No.
We did the Bowels of Hell was the climb out of Signal Mountain High School. Right?
Right.
That's a long time ago.
Okay.
And when you came into Pat's cul-de-sac, they'd throw the ball to you with a beer, and you'd have to dunk. 8-foot goal. I'm
Drink
6'1".
first?
I'm 6'2". My vertical leap is about 0.62. I don't know that I ever got it over the rim. But it was a lot of fun. And with the best that both of these T-shirts are classic. The Turbana because of the logo. And the Renegade Track Club is a classic. And if you ever run a marathon and want to borrow it, because on the back it says, "In my mind, I'm a Kenyan."
Love it.
You wear that in a big marathon in New York or Chicago, and you will make friends every time you pass or get past somebody. It's a classic. Those are great memories. Now, there are stories that go with the Renegades, but the first one was there can't be rules. You can't be rules. If you said, well, how far is this Bowels of Hell run? And if somebody said it's 22.6, they're out.
Yeah.
Because it's too exact. But those were
Those were the days before GPS.
Yes.
You'd
Oh
have
my
to have
gosh.
a wheel.
Yeah.
Which I was, with the races, a few races I put on, it wasn't until Randy actually ran the trails with a wheel to determine the right distance.
Well,
right?
I don't do that anymore.
But that happens as these things grow. People want to know exactly. If you're a mile short or a mile long, they're going to complain on an email 6 pages long, right? So you have to. These things become important.
I thought it was important before, but it's
Well,
not.
when people pay money for something, it's you want to get close.
Yeah, close enough. But yeah,
Close
Gonna
is
get
good.
close.
Hand grenades and nuke weapons.
Between 20 and 26 is close, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean
the bottom of the line is everybody's running the same distance
Yeah.
that day.
that is the bottom line.
So it
When is
doesn't
y'all's
matter.
next podcast?
Every
Monday.
Yeah.
Next week.
So for you viewers, I'll get you a copy of those T-shirts.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Just to see how crazy they are.
No.
So both of you guys have done some trail runs. Do you remember your first?
Sure.
Don't start.
the first one,
First trail run would have had to be in Wauhatchie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Waxahachie. Okay.
Yeah, because I would guess that's the first trail run
Yeah, it is.
in Chattanooga.
So full disclosure, I don't like to get my shoes dirty. So I'm not a natural trail runner. And again, my vertical leap is probably only surpassed by my, how far I pick my feet up off the ground. So whenever I run on a trail, I fall, and I don't like falling. But I've run y'all's Rock Creek, River Gorge.
Yeah.
I've run Scenic Hollow. I've had a blast every time I've done it, but I've spent as much time on the ground looking up at the sky as I have vertical. But I enjoy it. It's just, I don't think I'm naturally meant to do it.
Yeah, yeah. It's not for everybody.
No, it's not.
George.
It's not.
It's a different game for sure.
Sure.
I mean, I remember when I first started running on the trails and falling down all the time. You got to pick your feet up. I mean, it's a little different game.
You made a point a minute ago about volunteering and directing races. I want to jump in there on that. I remember when you guys were a new group. And when you guys were a new group, the track club was not a new group. We were an old group. And the passion you guys displayed for your sport and versus the track club, which I love, dear, I'll defend. We were so deep into ourselves. And you guys were so deep into what you loved. It was refreshing as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not disparaging my track club,
Yeah, yeah.
but what you guys did, said, let's make this better in this community. And as different as everybody is, with our different agendas, you guys, I was jealous. I was genuinely jealous because the track club is suits and ties, and you guys weren't suits and ties. And it was really refreshing, you guys putting your efforts behind something you simply loved. And it motivated me with the chase, and that's,
I can't thank you enough for doing that, because I think it's been the catalyst that's joined the two organizations together. We've got a fantastic relationship now. We're co-branding and almost everything. I don't know if you realize we're doing this Chattanooga all-around runner thing where you have to run 3 races of track club and 3 races of trail races, and you get some cool award at the end of the year. And it's just a fantastic relationship. I remember distinctly when we first moved here. I don't remember who it was back. I don't know. It's been 14 years now. And we met whoever was running the track club and said, "Hey, what do you think about a trail running organization?" And she was super fired up about it. I mean, she said, "That's great. It's good. Let's do it." And after a few meetings, it became pretty apparent that there wasn't a whole lot of interest with the track club. I'm like, well, why? I mean, I don't want to start a new club, because we came from Huntsville, and Huntsville has, sad to say, Huntsville has very limited amount of trails.
Yeah.
So they've got a really, kind of secular running organization that's really great. I mean, they're really cool, but they don't have a lot of trails. We've got a lot. and it makes a big difference. And so we just said, well, why don't we just start our own thing? I mean, we would have happily been a part of the track club at the beginning, but I was really happy and thrilled to see what has happened. I think a lot because of you, really. I mean, that's been a big part of it, of getting the track club and Wild Trails together. So thank you.
Well, Randy, this isn't love fest by any means, but at the same point, I said, I really want to add a trail section to Chase, and I have no idea what I'm doing. If you can do it, I'll stay out of your way, except for the permitting. And we just each did our own thing on race day. When the gun went off, you all went through the woods, and we stayed on the roads.
Yeah.
But I think it proved that we each have areas that we're good at doing.
And a lot of crossover.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I'm not just, like I said, your all's passion for what you guys do. Matt, I know you cross-dress. You're pretty good at road running as well. But your all's passion was just, it was palpable. And it made a big impression on folks, not just me, in the track club, of what it really should be.
It does seem like today running in Chattanooga is those two mix and mingle.
No doubt.
Maybe back then it was distinct, but now it's just all over, which is what you want.
And just as fairness to the track club, right now the leadership of the track club is top notch.
No doubt.
Jenny Burrs is one of a kind. Bill Brock, I'm going to throw him in there as an overseer.
Great guy.
They're growing, and they're doing super.
That's awesome. Well, we are at the time limit, and so thank you for both of you guys. It's been fun.
Thank you.
And y'all are still participants, right, in all this?
I like to think I am.
You just did the Hencappy Fondo over the weekend.
Yeah.
Everything within reason.
Yeah.
Trails for you, not within reason.
Well, I'll do something this year in the dirt.
Think about we're doing this 5K out at Audubon Acres, week from Saturday. It's basically a road run.
Yeah, I'll probably come.
Basically a road
run.
run. It's super flat. There's no challenge whatsoever. Love to see you. Love to see you out there.
No challenge.
Don't take that personally.
I'm not taking it.
No trail technical.
Is there free beer?
Yeah.
Well, there'll be free beer for you for sure.
Okay. There you go. Well, thank you guys very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Cool.